Hello everybody, and here we are to talk about the astrology for November. So, November starts on quite a serious note actually. It's all a bit subterranean and deep and dark and witchy. But it starts on a serious note too, because we have the last of the Saturn Chiron squares, and we have been struggling with this for the whole of 2017, to be honest, and so we're at that place where we're licking our wounds and trying to manage our depressive feelings. This is the last of the 3 hits, and so it's technically the healing run. In theory, this is the time of self-discovery through the art of understanding our pain. An opportunity to heal or focus on the down bit of the wheel, really. We have to have the down bit of the wheel. It's a wheel and you have to go down. You can't always be going up. And this is one of those times, really. So we need to get the best we can out of this period. It's about reflection, and it's about looking at our wounds and healing them. But nothing can be healed that isn't first felt. That's one of my mantras. Nothing can be healed that isn't first felt. And so we have to expect to feel something before we can heal it. And if you are in pain, then just remember, then you are in touch with the ability to heal your pain. So we must feel the pain before we can be relieved of it. And that's the place that we're at now. So be kind with yourself. We kick off with November actually almost straight away into the energy of the full moon, which is on Friday the 3rd or Saturday the 4th of November, depending which time zone you're in. It will happen in the UK on the Saturday and in America on the Friday. I think I've got that right. I've got a cold and it's hard to think. So depending which time zone you're in, it'll be Friday the 3rd or Saturday the 4th. And this full moon is the most erotic of the year. So with the moon in Taurus highlighting the sensuality of the body, and the sun in Scorpio, which illuminates the intense sexual part of our experience, human experience. It's that part where we sexually desire somebody. So with the sensuality and the sexuality being in high focus, we can see that this yearly opportunity, so this yearly Taurian full moon, focus almost entirely on the expression of lust, of desire, of knowledge, carnal knowledge, and everything that is to do with sex, sexuality, desire. And so it's a great time to explore that, whether or not you want to meet somebody and take your time at exploring that in the future, or whether or not you want to just turn to your partner and say, hey, let's get passionate with each other. However, this year, this Taurian full moon also coincides with something else, unfortunately. It coincides with 2 planets, Venus and Uranus, being opposite each other. Now, this indicates that there could be complications with all this intoxicating passion and desire, because this is not a very loving or sensitive transit. In fact, Uranus symbolizes a lack of emotion. It can mean quirky, it can mean different, it can mean stimulating, it can mean exciting, which might make for an unusual sexual encounter or sexual activity as it mixes with the energy of the full moon. But it certainly isn't into romantic sentiment. That's a bit of a downer. Hence, the lustful or the erotic advances could be lacking in feeling, or they could appear passionate, intensely passionate to start with, and very intoxicating initially, but could quickly turn into something more sordid or emotionally cut off, an encounter that later you might regret. So watch what you're getting into and make sure that you're not going to find that emotionally cut off feelings immediately afterwards aren't going to leave you feeling a little cold. Okay, so then moving on, around the 11th of November, Juno conjuncts Pluto, and we reach a potentially very dark and murky period. Juno is a very disdainful planet. She is very female-minded, but very disdainful. And although she dislikes the invisible realms, Pluto's invisible realms, we've got a Juno-Pluto conjunction. Although she likes dislikes the invisibility of Pluto's underworld, she will nevertheless still release whatever sordid intrigue she finds there, just so that it's out in the open. She doesn't like things to stay hidden. She will bring them out. Excuse me, my cold. But Juno also hates the human race in general, and she has no desire to protect anyone. But she especially doesn't like injustice for women, though, even more so. So she will gladly add to the already burgeoning newsworthy headlines about sexual abuse and sexual misuse of women. And so what I think this month will add to that, because Juno, not particularly liking this aspect of human behaviour, she'll happily expose it. She wants to protect females, although she doesn't like humans in general, but most especially she will try and protect females if she can, a little bit. And so what we'll get here is we're getting sort of more energy in that which already exists after the Weinstein allegations. So we could be looking at a lot more revelations about sexual abuse. A lot more will currently emerge. However, I think we have to bear in mind something else around the 11th, and that is that Juno can also, as well, she can also represent a woman scorned. So there may be a need to carefully assess both sides of the fence if reports emerge at this time. We might be looking for the odd occasion where a woman scorned is exaggerating in order to get her side heard or to get even. So we have to watch for that as well. I'm not saying that all the reports will be untrue. What I'm saying is let's just look at both sides and discern. Juno can be a little bit deceitful in this respect. Then we move to the 18th of November and the Scorpio new moon, when the sun and the moon are conjunct in the sky in Scorpio. This is a tough period to call. It's so deep. It's so deep. If there were ever sinister and subversive actions going on, then it's happening now. But it's so submerged, it's not going to appear on the surface. I don't think we'll get a lot in the news headlines. On the other hand, we may get news of horrifying past sexual abuse, where perhaps victims have been held captive for long periods of time in the underworld. So it could be so distasteful this time. It really takes us into the worst of the Scorpio end of that zodiac sign, the distasteful end of it, really. Mars also moves into the Uranus-Pluto square at this time, just adding really to the very Pluto subversive, quite difficult, challenging, distasteful elements. We could see then lone terrorist attacks, which is very common with the Uranus-Pluto square, or we could also see peak times in cultural and political unrest. Sadly, this may be a tense or violent time. It could be a quite bitter time, but let's pray not, hey? And then right at the very end of November, Mars and the Moon get together or get into bed with Uranus, and that signifies a time of great upheaval, trouble, discord. However, we can get some good stuff out of this, but we really have to roll with the punches. We really have to go with the aggressive energies and just try to channel them our way. They can get very out of hand, and the whole apple cart can go over. This is the problem with Uranus and Mars together. They get explosive. Now, however, this is right at the very end of November, so I'll probably best cover this in more detail in the December report, I think. Okay, now, one more thing before I end. November is a difficult month to describe because much of it will be played out in the underworld or in the seething underground arteries that sort of flow beneath the surface of our political and cultural structures. But there is still movement in that silent heartbeat that pulses below the radar and controls so much of the upper world that we know. But words and light don't bring it all to the surface. Some things are dislodged, some things will come up and rise up and we'll see them. But there's a lot that we won't. So you have to keep your ear to the ground, but more importantly, keep your intuition open, keep keep listening to your intuition, because it probably knows more than your head or your ears will give you. The Sun moves out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius on the 22nd. So after that, we lose a lot of the cosmic interest in disclosure, and we then get into the silly season as we head towards the festive holidays at the end of December. The gates of the underworld kind of close after the 22nd of November, and we move on to all the seasonal festivities, all the crazy stuff, and the money flying everywhere, and people enjoying themselves. So we get the serious and deep and probing nature of Scorpio at the beginning of this month, but we also get towards the end of the month, we get enough of it. We kick it out, we throw it out the door, and we go, had enough. We need to kind of like, we get very fast paced then as we get towards the end of November. I have just looked at the chart to do with the Mueller probe and the first indictments. The indictments happened on the 27th of October in Washington, D.C. There is a Department of Justice website which actually published the real indictments. That you know, they're there on the website for everybody to see, the legal documents. So do go and see them, because obviously these are the original legal documents. They're not reported in the press, so you're getting primary evidence there. So I looked at the moment that, at the supposed time that these indictments were produced on the 27th of October. And I was particularly interested in this particular horoscope because it would say a lot about the Mueller probe and the energy moving forward and what we can expect in the future. So I've got the chart here, and I'm just going to say that at first glance, when I looked at this chart, I was very impressed with the confidence and the authority of it. This moment stretches as deep, really, into the underworld, and it has a great ability to bring to the surface many of the feminine or yin or hidden attributes of the case. What this indictment, this Mueller probe indictment, doesn't want to do, doesn't want to be theatrical or showy. There is a deep need here to uncover the truth, and that's very evident in the chart of the moment when the indictment was issued, or the actually 2 or 3 indictments were issued, and so that's quite interesting in astrology. And I just thought I'd throw that in at the end for those people who are following the Mueller probe in the USA. Anyway, it was lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you'll have a great November. I'm always here if you want to explore your own personal chart, if you want to look at your own opportunities, future awareness, self-awareness, so you can make the best out of the energy in November or in the year to come. Then do remember I'm here. Have a session with me. It's only £59, £79 for 90 minutes. And I love to talk to you, and it would be really great, and that would be fabulous. So you can find me online, Alison Chester-Lambert. Okay, brilliant to talk to you. See you in December. Thank you. Bye-bye.